everyone, this is a post I'm making about how practically the pesticide pollution related or chemical contamination pollution related problems impacts our daily health in different parts of the world. And especially right now I'm talking about things that have happened or transpired in India, but it is something that has also impacted my health when I was living in US. It's just that at that time the degree of health challenges were a little less and more easily manageable by me. That's why some of the realization that have happened regarding health to my health in India have crystallized more in India because of the setting of circumstances of my life that led to my crystallization of these thought processes. Even though the knowledge regarding many of the things that I'm talking about in these videos are knowledge that have been gathered in the world for at least 25 years of my existence, because some of the things related to pesticide poisoning is something pharmacology and pharmaceutics or bachelors of pharmaceutical science students in India from Mumbai, from my institute, have learned it when we were in our bachelor's program about what pesticides do to our health. But though this knowledge has been known in India at least 25 years back, and the same knowledge is something I've also learned in US when I did different other pharmacy related, healthcare related degree programs and certifications and licenses in US as well, over another 10 decades back related study experiences. So this knowledge base has been present in US as well, related to simple things like how pesticides impact our health. And pesticides have the most prominence currently in my discussion, simply because that is the first challenge that can be easily resolved if people start understanding, because enough data about pesticide usage now exists in the world, and also enough data about other chemical usages and their harms also exists in the world. But we have to start working with these chemical related challenges, and detoxing of humanity has to happen at a stepwise and gradient level. That's why the one thing that is very commonly used globally in multiple businesses and multiple home activities, in multiple aspects of our lifestyle choices, that is the first thing, the thing that has a greater reach and a greater impact, and also that currently has alternative uh, things also in our natural environment that can be used, alternative change in habits and practices that can be done by us to shift our paradigm of usage of something that has been normalized in the last few decades of our existence. Ever since childhood days, I have seen pesticides being used normally in home life, in when I was not really working in hospitals, but when I have visited hospitals and clinics in India or in US, or in other US retail related facilities, and the studying that we have done related to retail activities in our school days as well, all of these things have shown that to me practically in real life experience, as well as theoretically in subjects that we study from school days to university days. For me personally, all of these have been the sources where I know that pesticides are commonly used everywhere in the world. And you can look at more data if you want more and more data than what you, a person who has already expert in this field, is talking about. That is your call if you want to question someone else's education, but that is up to you. But the practical implication of what I'm talking about or trying to teach or helping people learn at a practical level what is going on with the theoretical data or already studied data is that don't duplicate or make things worse for yourself, especially when you have already many things on your plate. And many people listening to these videos can start getting very nervous or stressed out that there are so many things that need to be changed. Some people will start thinking that a person like me is overthinking, that this is all overthinking and bullshit thinking. Some people might assume that I am just trying to, because I've studied this field, I am trying to now push my field's prominence or importance in their life. But the reality is, every field of work we do on earth, the reason why each of us is doing a different kind of field of work is because each of those field of work has some value. So, and not just value, the value comes from where? The value comes from its practical applicability in our daily lives. And whether we are consciously aware of it or not aware of it, it's still applicable in our life. If I have done a pharmaceutical science course, and wherein I, even though I have said in my previous videos that I'm not a great chemistry expert, I just don't remember the chemistry stuff that well. That is my problem zone. It's not that I don't understand chemistry or that I haven't studied chemistry or I haven't passed courses that had chemistry in it. It's just that chemistry related stuff kind of like takes a backseat in my memory, and I have to always open a book of chemistry to talk about chemistry stuff, simply because there are so many other topics that I find more interesting and I gravitate more towards those topics, that even though I understand chemistry, I don't remember any chemistry related studying, or very basic bare minimum chemistry related stuff remembers or crystallizes in my memory. But even though I don't remember chemistry related stuff and very basic stuff only I remember, my mind, if anyone examines my mind, they'll have zero information possibly in my recent memory about chemistry stuff. Just because I just don't enjoy that subject so much, even though it has played a major role. You can't have passed your bachelor's of pharmaceutical sciences coursework if you didn't know some chemistry or didn't understand chemistry at a certain level. So that much expertise is there within me, but deeper than that, I have never touched chemistry because I don't gravitate towards it. But does chemistry stop influencing my life just because I don't gravitate towards it? Or none of us who remember chemistry from even school days, if you have never done any bachelor's or further studies related to chemistry in your life, does that mean that chemistry stops playing a role in your body? No. Or in your life. I said body first because universe wants me to focus on the impact of chemistry in our regular body. Chemistry works daily in our body. How? When we are chewing simple food, drinking some drinks, the chemical content in the food and drinks, when they are larger particles, the food gets chewed down by our body because they are large chemical particles. Those large chemical particles are also acted on chemically by enzymes in our saliva, enzymes in our gastrointestinal tract, which are acting on the larger food molecules and breaking it down into smaller chemical molecules. So chemistry is daily playing a role in our life. How much you remember the impact of chemistry in your life is up to you, but chemistry daily influences our life. Same way, pharmaceutical science related knowledge, also many things related to pharmaceutical sciences or pharmacology that I have studied in the past, that also influences our daily life, irrespective of whether you studied these subjects with me or some similar science or chemistry related subjects were studied in your own field of work, or whether you, after graduating from a bachelor's program, you have never touched any books related to any of the topics I'm talking about. But chemistry still influences your life, irrespective of whether you, chemistry, biology, whatever subjects we studied in school, still influences our life, irrespective of whether we practically or ever use that subject in our field of work. So that's why, irrespective of how you perceive what I've been trying to educate in these videos or help you learn about, is not important, like who is teaching you this material. But I give my credentials so that you understand that I have a solid basis for giving you the education on these topics, because I have at least learned these topics at a professional level, and in professional work practices also I have to follow these things. But just because I have learned it for a professional practice doesn't mean that its applicability gets lost when I'm not even working at all. And which is where, this is the reason, one reason why I also didn't pursue any work of professional kind in the last few years of my life in India, because the applicability of this work functions or my education was still applicable in my daily life even now. And because I have the free time now to sit and relax and think about these topics. It's not an overthinking thing for me, even though people might perceive I'm overthinking. It's just me having a more relaxed life than some other people. It's not that I don't have stress in my life. I also have other elements of stress, because in order to bring balance and progress in life, some stress of the modern centuries kind will be prevalent in many of our lives in different ways. Just that each of us will have stress of a different kind. Like many of my married friends think that you are a single woman, you don't have any pressure related to family matters, but they have no context that just because I didn't get married doesn't mean that family politics didn't ruin my past relationships with exes that I dated. They did ruin it. It's just that I wasn't aware they were ruining it at the time it was getting ruined. Sometimes I was aware that they were ruining it, but I couldn't do anything about it, because that is how family politics is. Family politics, or machinations by people behind your back for interfering in your relationships, can ruin your relationships anytime, anywhere. It can happen not just in your family. Those kind of political machinations or manipulations can ruin your career as well, can ruin how you are perceived by other humans as well. Because whoever is when political machinations or political dialogue is happening about you behind your back, and other people are discussing your choices or your thoughts or your words, at that time they are doing it based on their understanding of things. And some people understanding more than you what is the consequence of what you're doing. If they want to bring harm to your life, they will harm, or some other blockage and obstacle in your life, they can manipulate a narrative. Like if you are viewing something, like have you ever seen the elephant's tail story? In the elephant's tail story, there are 4-5 blind men who are asked to touch a tail, or they are either blind or they are blindfolded. You listen to the tale according to whatever way you have heard the tale before, but essential knowledge here is you are blind to the elephant being in front of you, and there are 5 men or 4 men, depending on the story you have read. 5 men are touching the elephant and have been asked to tell what is it. Now, someone who is touching the elephant's teeth thinks it's a very bony thing, and if he has no context of further context about what he is touching, and he has only touched the teeth of the elephant, he will think it's a bony, pointy, dagger-like thing, or a ivory piece, or something like that, or he may think it is a teeth of some animal. That is the maximum he will be able to gauge if he has only touched the teeth. Same way, someone who touches the elephant's tail, they might touch the tail and think it's a brushy thing. They might even think it's a leafy thing if the tail is very leaf-like texture. Whatever is the texture feels like to them. If they again don't touch the rest of the elephant, they will not have the complete picture about the elephant. If they touch the elephant's ears, again something different they will think about it. If they touch its foot, they will think something different about it. Depending on how much they have explored it, how much they have touched and felt it, how much they have felt some similar things like this. If you have even watched some game shows, in some game shows sometimes, or even YouTube videos of such games people play with their family and friends, in all of these you may have seen when you are blindfolded and asked to touch certain things, people can barely sometimes guess right what they are actually touching if they have no context about those materials, or their context is coming from past materials that were similar to the thing that they were touching, right? So this is how actually healthcare practices, like all of us have studied now the health perspective. Someone has studied it from chemistry angle, someone has studied from the biology angle, someone has studied from the biochemistry angle, someone has studied from the pharmacology angle, someone has studied from the medicine angle, someone has studied, even mathematical people can study healthcare, because mathematical angle of it is also necessary in healthcare. So you can have different perspectives in different subjects about the same concept of healthcare, which is why when healthcare data needs to be examined, you can't simply use a doctor's perspective to understand healthcare. You may need additional help from a nurse, and you will see anyone who is a really good clinician, those clinicians don't simply take data from the medical journals written by doctors to get good information about their medical practice. A good high quality doctor will look at medical data not simply from a doctor's book. At least for pharmacy, when we as pharmacy students, I was studying for pharmacy licensing exams in US. At those time points, I have also looked at data not just simply from medical journals or medical texts or medical books or pharmacological books or pharmacy based books. I've also looked at nursing books. I've also looked at data done by healthcare researchers to understand something better, right? Or any educational for pharmacy, I had to, for my licensing, have to do continuing education requirements were there in US to keep our licenses active. Why was that required is every few years the knowledge related to healthcare practice changes a little bit based on the new paradigms that are being studied, discovered, older paradigms that are again reintroduced into practice and things like that. So at that time also, for those continuing education also, anyone who is compiling data in those continuing education, they also technically and ideally, if they want to bring a good quality material into that subject they are teaching, shouldn't just be looking at a pharmaceutical journal or pharmacy or pharmacology related books for teaching pharmacists or pharmacy technicians. A really good quality teacher can also be using nursing journal, can also be using online portals where online clinical and research data is available from doctors and other health practitioners or other healthcare researchers. That is how you compile a deeper data and a better quality data about what is health harming, what is health supportive. And likewise, when you are practicing now this thing, not as a person who is doing healthcare research, or a doctor practicing medicine, or a nurse practicing nursing, or a pharmacist practicing pharmacy in a country where all these different elements of pharmaceutical practice that I'm talking about is something that is practiced deeply in US. I don't know other countries other than India and US where pharmacy related practices are done. So I don't know the deeper depths of the scope of a pharmacy student in those countries. But at least in pharmaceutical research as well as in pharmaceutical delivery, research in India is very strong, whereas pharmaceutical drug delivery and post delivery related research is also very very strong in US, because their healthcare related GDP spending was really really high for a long time. And because it was really high, that is the country which has studied healthcare data the most globally in the world, because those fundings were not going waste when healthcare research was being done, when healthcare related other post healthcare data related studies also were being done by that country. Because this is where now globally we are at a stage where more post healthcare research needs to be done. Post introduction of materials in our daily environment related research work and other work has to be done, because while something was very beneficial earlier, like pesticides were beneficial in the past for some reason, they have become harmful currently at such a level that their benefit is now slowly going away or is completely gone. People have to awaken to that so that we can shift into using products that will be more health safe. And the problem is, a little bit shift related to pesticide usage did happen in the past, but what happened is, with simple pesticide classes like organophosphates and organochlorines, people, when data related to organophosphates started happening, people stopped using organophosphates or reduced using it, but they shifted to using organochlorines. But organochlorines also have their own set of health challenges, which is also being studied, which is also something people have to now start looking at and focusing, because in multiple people's houses and daily lifestyle choices, both organophosphate and organochlorine can be impacting their health. And a very practical level at which in India this is impacting our population health is that while organophosphates might be there in your pesticides that you're using for keeping your kitchens clean, any kind of kitchen, it can be a kitchen in a hospital, it can be a kitchen in a hospitality industry, in a restaurant, in a hotel, it can be something used in your own homes. And it is also the same pesticide sometimes when people get rats or cockroaches or some other insects in their car. People have also started using these kind of pesticides in travel industry as well, in cars, trains, planes, which is now actually at a practical level impacting these person's health. I've already talked about it in some past videos, but I will give a very simple example related to train travel. Sometimes in the train industry, and I have traveled in trains since childhood days, it's something I've done in India for a long time. So I have had at least 10 to 15 years experience traveling in train, when like minimum 10 to 15 times I have traveled in train as a child. Similarly, as an adult also, in the last 25 years of my adulthood, when I used to come from US also once or twice, I have traveled in train. And after coming from US, even though while I was living in US, most of the time to save time, majority of the time I would travel by flight, but I think one time I might have traveled by train. I don't 100% remember this, but definitely, even though in that 13 years when I lived in US, even if I didn't travel by train in India, after that again in the last 10 years I've traveled at least 8-10 times by train. So all of these experiences in train travel have only led me to become now an expert in this. Not simply because I travel in train, everyone can travel in train, but you have to also have the free time while traveling in train to observe these things. And because I have traveled mostly as a single woman, traveled many a times with no one with me and accompanying me, so I'm not engaged in a conversation with anyone. If I was also engaged in a conversation with someone, I've been engaged in a conversation with a stranger. So that also leaves me a lot of time for me to observe things, because I have more leisure time now to observe the patterns of what is going on in train travel. And which is also true not just of my train travel experience, any travel and hospitality related industry experiences. Every time I have traveled singly by myself, or in had partial travel times where I was just traveling on my own, in all of these experiences I've observed many things related to the travel industry, where direct use of pesticides are now impacting my health or our everyone's health. So one direct impact of pesticides that was happening to me a few years back was that, because locally they were using, now they have reduced using pesticides that often in my neighborhood, especially because I had written a complaint about this with the local municipality. And thankfully whoever was working in the municipality was really mindful enough to observe what I had written. They didn't discredit the knowledge and data that I had provided to them in the complaints. I had sent at least 2 complaints, and whoever was looking at those complaints was a very mindful person. Because they were mindful person, they did their own research, and because they did their own research, they also slowly started reducing the use of pesticides in the local environment, and have started doing other initiatives instead, which also needs a little bit, they've already done the first basic step of how to redirect the usage of pesticides. But there's more to be done in India and globally regarding this pesticide related issue, which we all have to awaken first that it is harmful, agree first that it is harmful. When agreement and alignment is not there that it is harmful, then what happens is you can't introduce the right changes. Because whatever I'm presenting in this, even though the local government of one of the cities understood this is a problem, there was another place where I was living where I was also part of the building committee who makes decisions and choices. Despite that, despite having knowledge base regarding all these topics, when I tried to communicate that this is harmful, do not use pesticides in the building maintenance, and ours was a very new building, so there was hardly any pest problems except a little bit of mosquito problem, which also wouldn't have occurred if pooling of water during some construction work was done and there was pooling of water. They did also many poor construction related choices in that building when a repair related paradigm was also being done. So again, if you don't do the right repair paradigms, if you don't do the right rectification paradigms, or if you don't understand deeply how to rectify even a pest control problem in the right way, that is when you end up using also more of the chemicals, not just in pesticides, any kind of chemical. If we have this something called chalta firta attitude in India, or a very quick fix like attitude some people have, which is okay. When quick fix attitude is okay for us to have, when some emergency situation is there, at that time emergency situation, urgent need is there, at that time if you have a quick fix to some problem, you implement it. But when you are in relaxing times, when you are in downturn times, when you are in times when good things are happening in your life and a urgent resolution of problem doesn't have to materialize, at those prosperous times, abundance times, or a relaxing time of your life, you are also meant to fix things, but not with the quick fix attitude. And neither are you supposed to become relaxed and have a chalta firta attitude, because a little bit of chalta firta attitude is okay in life when you need time to relax, when you are having some health challenges that body is mandatorily telling you need to relax now, or when too many things are on your plate, so you have to decide, out of 10 things I can only work on the thing that I know the most about how to work on. The rest of it I have to delegate and have a little chalta firta attitude about, hoping that the right personnel will do their job, right? Because that is how you understand also which job you should be doing, which job you have to delegate if you don't have the expertise, and you have to hire some experts to do that job. Or those experts who you already have in your staff, you have to give them a little bit more extra role to do a job that they already know how to do, but they just need that job to be delegated to them, right? This is how in the relaxing times you are supposed to do. Relaxing times you are supposed to delegate to other people. In a busy time also you're supposed to delegate, but there are different kind of delegation that needs to happen in relaxing time versus at a busy time. And after delegating also, you can't have complete chalta. If you're a leader, you can't have complete chalta firta attitude also. You have to be mindful that who you have delegated is doing the work in the right way. Otherwise there will be a harm associated with giving the work to a person who is not qualified to do that work. I hope this made sense. So like that, at home life also, if someone is a wife who is got 10 things on her plate, who's a housewife looking after children, looking after financial things, looking after buying groceries, looking after doing different things for her family, and you are getting tired, or you are becoming elderly now, and what you could effortlessly do when you were in your 20s or 40s, in your 60s or 80s you may not be as effortlessly able to do it. So in order to plan for your effortlessness to still continue in your 60s, 80s, first do you have to understand that what you were able to do in your 40s, now in your 60s you're not able to do. And if you are understood it, realized it, understood the frailty of life, fragility of life, and change of life, you will also understand then that I need to now delegate it. And in order to delegate it, do you need right family members to be with you? Do you need to stay with those family members who will automatically help you in some ways, or automatically take part of the share of your responsibilities? Like many people in India, like let's talk about a housewife now in India, or a retired woman who wasn't a housewife before, who has always worked a lot. But if you're not a housewife, do wives in India stop doing their things? Or do women in India who are single also like me, or divorced like me, I don't know how you want to categorize me, I categorize myself as single, even though technically I am a divorced woman, whatever it is. And there's a problem zone with my legal status, that's why I don't know how to classify myself here, and I always get confused about it. Anyways, so the main thing is, if you're living a life as a single person, irrespective of what tag you have, divorced, single, separated, whatever it is, essentially you're living as a single person doing your own thing. Any woman who lives life like that, while men have a luxury of depending and hiring people to do their work, and when men hire other people to do their work, people don't look down to men about doing it. In fact, people are more helpful also towards men, because in my family, my brother and dad have existed without a woman's direct influence when my mother died 25 years back. So for 25 years their life still has been functioning okay, because many women in the family and outside family have been very helpful towards them. They've helped them knowing that they do my brother doesn't have a mother. They've helped my father because they know he doesn't have a wife. So because he works and looks like a single person, many people have a lot of sympathy and empathy towards them. So all the women's functions that a person from outside the home, like someone who doesn't live with them daily, but a maid servant who comes, or a cook who comes, or a family who comes and visits them occasionally, or a family who they go and visit occasionally, everywhere they get the extra special care from women, especially because women do have that tendency to understand who is not getting care taken that deeply, and they will offer that care to these people. But this is not true of women. Many women also do not have a lot of care in their life. If they are orphans, they don't have care. If they are women like me whose parents died, they don't have care. If those women had parents who were addiction prone or had other problems in their life related to absolute neglect and abuse going on in their life, those women also don't get care taken. And I have met some women like that also in my travels. And those women, they're very independence oriented, very self-care oriented, self-care driven. That's why they can manage, and those women have taken that role at a karmic level or at a soul level to take that challenge in this particular life, to be that independent. There is a higher purpose to it, that's why they took it. But that doesn't mean that those women also don't need help. It's just that men being little less attuned towards the needs of women, the men in their lives could have helped them, could have made their lives easier, could have asked also. Even if they don't understand how to make their life easier, all they have to do is ask the women, what do you need so that I can help you. But that for asking also, you have to have a service oriented attitude or a helpfulness driven attitude. And those men, and there are some what I'm generalizing here about men and women doesn't mean that the opposite kind of men and women also don't exist. There are some women who are also very privileged, where many men come and help them. Beautiful women especially are that kind of a women who are very beautiful, and also some women who are very manipulative. They also get this very easily, attract people to, they manipulate energy. They're not very, I'm not talking about overtly manipulative women. Overtly manipulative, in fact, no, in fact, overtly manipulative women get the most help. Those women who are not, I have been accused literally by people in my family of being manipulative, and I am the least manipulative of all the women in my family. Literally, if anyone does a study of 10 women I know in my life, and if they do a psychological analysis of 10 women, let's say 5 from my family, 5 from my friends group, or more, they can do a 30 women associated with me related study also. And I'm 99% sure that I'll be in the manipulation category, categorized as the least manipulative, if the right data analysis is done. Of course, there can always be false light, false biases, and my claim can be refuted by manipulations itself in the data. But if authentic data analysis was to be done, I'm the least manipulative woman I know in my life. I have actually rarely met women who are less manipulative than me. Very rarely. Okay, so not that I haven't met some of those women as well, because they are a rare breed, but they are not that rare a breed either. So but when men are now the manipulative ones, or they have a lot of manipulative traits that are subtle and hidden in them, they will, because they are manipulative, or they get by in life by manipulating people, they will accuse those who are not even manipulative. It's called gaslighting. They will accuse those who are not manipulative about being manipulative. And also understand, all of us can have manipulative thoughts. Having manipulative thoughts doesn't make you manipulative. What is the intention in the choice you're making makes you manipulative. That is the difference between a manipulative, because majority of the humans, it's not possible that we can't have manipulative thoughts in life. Everyone, when we are feeling weakened or threatened or hurt or injured or oppressed in life, everyone tends to have those hidden covert tendencies of wishing, like, I want to seek revenge, or I want to twist this thing to my advantage. Kind of a thinking can be playing a very background role in our thoughts for everyone. But that doesn't mean that even if it is playing a role in your thoughts, the difference between a person who is manipulative versus person who is not manipulative is that the non-manipulative person will actively make the choice that let's make it a world where we don't have to manipulate others to do things. You have to just directly, like, was it manipulative of me to complain to the city that I have pesticide related pollution problems? People can think it is manipulative, those who think in the manipulative range. But manipulation would be what? Manipulation would be me tracking like someone related to the person who is working there, their wife, their siblings, 10 people related to them, and get the gossip related to. This is manipulation. You will gossip around them, influence the other people, 10 people around them, to tell them that pesticides are bad, pesticides are bad. And then they are getting like subtle programming, like how you have seen Chandler in Friends doing his hypnosis therapy for quitting cigarette smoking. That is also slightly a manipulative strategy. Hypnosis is a manipulative strategy to manipulate your brain into thinking of quitting smoking, whereas there is a very direct way also of ensuring that you will quit smoking by understanding it is harmful for your health, by seeing the direct repercussions of the harm and doing it. So I didn't manipulate, I just presented an information. This is the data, this is the information, this is the consequence of what has been going on. That is all I did. I did a very direct reporting of something. And that person also not been accepting of information, because a person working in government has to be accepting of right information. They also have to have critical analysis, analytical skills also to discern what is right information. That is when you become a leader, or you are a efficient leader in a government organization. Person who understands and discerns the right data in the right way, and doesn't get manipulated by even a data, because data can also manipulate you. But he didn't get manipulated, he understood the data in the right way. Because he didn't get manipulated and understood the data in the right way, while I presented XYZ scenario and it was given as a choice to them, and I did this for two different things, not just one thing related to pesticides, but I'm going to mention only the pesticide thing here. But I have reported these kind of things as a conscientious citizen. Only you can report it, and hopefully it was not just me who reported it. I'm sure 2-3 other people might also have reported it, which might have given him the now chance to look at this data. And at that time it also happened, it's a good thing that a doctor didn't there was in our governance at a time. The person who a person from medical field was supposed to head that decisions related to healthcare of governance, but that person quit or was busy, or something happened where the government official or medical official who was supposed to look at this data was not present in that post for a while. And that was a very lucky happenstance, because everything related to pesticides that I've communicated with medical professional in India, those whom I know personally in some way, not professionally, because I was not working professionally in India with doctors, right? So while I was not working with any doctors in India professionally, the personal life doctors that I know, they discredited the data because they have a bias against me. I don't have any bias against doctors. Like, I love all the doctors in my family at a personal family level. Even my friends, I love them because they were very good friends to me, or I used to feel extreme, like how some people are, some of us feel extreme love for certain people in our life. They could be our friends, they could be our colleagues, they could be the love that is not the love of boyfriend girlfriend love or something like that, but just a humane kind of love towards others. So all of these people who were doctors in my life, I have respected them or loved them just at a human level. But despite that, I can see loving someone doesn't mean you become blind or wear rose colored glasses about them. So you have to know when they are doing the right thing and when they are doing something that is not appropriate. And this is something I have to learn, and I had to learn even as a healthcare administrative intern when I was working in a hospital. And luckily for me, I worked in a hospital in US where respect for other professions does exist in US, which is another problem zone in India. Respect for different professions doesn't exist at an equitable level in India. Equitability has slowly started coming up in US. It's not that it's 100% there, but still enough equitability is there in US administrative work, because of which only the healthcare administration degree that I did was created in US. because in US doctors realize that all the futile administrative work that takes them away from doing their clinical diagnosis of their patients, those kind of work, if they don't want to do it, they are ready to delegate that administrative work, financial work, operational work, strategy related, planning related work to someone else. And because they were willing to let go of the work that they don't want to do, they want to just critically analyze a patient and treat a patient, the other kind of work that other people with some healthcare knowledge and other knowledge are then able to do it. Because in US, when I did healthcare administration, for example, some of my classmates, one classmate had EMT knowledge, another classmate had nursing knowledge, another classmate doesn't have these knowledges, but she is a daughter of a person who was operating an assisted living facility. So like that, each of my classmates had their own. One per classmate, I don't even know what his past knowledge is, but I can see he is going to be a very good administrator simply because he has very good people skills and socially interaction based skills, which is also necessary in an administrator in a hospital. So like that, all these classmates that I've observed in my healthcare administration degree, and all of which some of them hold a post now, some of them after getting married had taken a break also now because they were raising kids, but they all have potential to now be good administrators because they have some administrative understanding of one aspect of healthcare that governs a hospital's functions. A hospital's functions isn't just doctors treating patients. In order for a doctor to treat patients in US, the nurse also has to take some patient related data recordings. If the nurse does their job well, then doctor gets the information about the patient really well. If the nurse also has better knowledge, if you have watched the English show Scrubs was showing in via the character of Carla, how when Carla was doing her nursing practice there, this is how real nurses are also in real life. It was not just simply fiction that was being shown in Scrubs. So Carla, like knowledge that Carla had, she had because she had been practicing as a nurse for a longer time than when the intern doctors joined the practice, her level and depth of knowledge was higher at some point of time during their practice, which was an important thing. Everyone needs to learn that when you are in a beginning stage of your practice, sometimes someone else who has had more years of practice in that same field, irrespective of whether they have a doctoral degree or not, they can still have more clinical knowledge than the person who eventually after 10 years might have that same depth of knowledge as Carla. So these interns, when they initially ignored Carla, does Carla's knowledge as a nursing practitioner in that hospital, or as a nurse in that hospital, because nurses are there, nursing practitioners are there, people who are assistant to doctors are also currently, and Scrubs was also a series made almost over 25 years back. So in these 25 years, a lot of nursing related depth has also developed in US clinical practices. Same way, because how medicine is developing there, nursing was also developing, pharmacy was also developing, because we are evolving in life into understanding the deeper levels of healthcare practices that needs to be now present in our practice. And that's why US healthcare has developed so beautifully, because all these different arms of US healthcare are working in combination and conjunction and collaboration, a collaboration, combination and conjunction that is possible only not just because these three, a pharmacist or a pharmacist also has a role. Pharmacist is dispensing the drug. After dispensing the drug, pharmacist interacts with the person more often. That's why many local pharmacists have the capacity, and it depends on how busy a pharmacy it is. But if it is a very that kind of pharmacy setting that I was working in, very independent pharmacy setting, or only one or two pharmacists, like few pharmacists run place, if they have a good rapport with their customers and patient population, that pharmacist can give you a lot of valuable data about local population health when they are communicating, as well as individual specific population patient health related observations also a pharmacist can provide. Likewise, in a hospital, the nurse is the one. Outside the hospital setting, a pharmacist provides this information, can provide this information. And inside a hospital and clinical setting, it's the nursing practitioner or a physician's assistant or some other ancillary healthcare professionals All of them can provide this extra information regarding a patient's overall health status, and which is why you need an administrator to oversee and overlook all these different functions working together in conjunction to see what is going on, which is also similar to what housewives or wives or retired people can do in their lives, personally or professionally, depending on how you want to explore at a certain point of time in your life. So in family life, it's the housewife. If you're a housewife, then also you have to take care of and oversee different functions of different members of the family. If you're not a housewife, if you're a working woman and still a daughter-in-law or a daughter of a family, at that time also naturally women tend to oversee these things. And while men provide the finances, many of the decision making that is done in India is done by women in the family, because women are ruling all the financial decisions, many of the financial decisions, especially in a balanced family. If man is seeing providing money, or man is going and investing and looking at the financial stuff related to investment, or man is also going and purchasing things for the family at the grocery level or big financial decisions level, does it mean the rest of the decisions go flat and no one is looking at it? If you're in an abusive family, that is what will happen. Financial abusive, financially manipulative, financially oppressive family, this is all that the family will be doing, with the man doing these roles that have, which are all standard generalized roles globally men have been doing for many centuries. That's why I'm saying these roles. Doesn't mean that some men don't do more than this. Those are the good quality men who have done more than what the basic man's role is in the modern life, or what men have perceived is their role. There is a lot more than just this as a basic role that a man has to do. But if man is doing this and these basic roles in an appropriate functional manner, in a balanced family life, the woman also is doing many things. She's budgeting on the finances the husband might be providing her. If she's a housewife, she's allocating the budget appropriately towards all family care and caretaking related expenses. She is if she's just a housewife and she's taking care of the children, she's taking care of the elderly, even if they don't stay with the in-laws, because she's a housewife, she does now have time to socialize with other women. So she might be talking with neighbors to build a community network. She might be talking with for her family, which is beneficial for her children as her children are growing up, to help them socialize with other neighbor kids. She is also, if family stays far away, she can be keeping in communication with them over phone. This is what a housewife will be doing if she is a responsible housewife and she is not oppressive and abusive, because these are if the wife doesn't maintain relationship with everyone else in the family, it's a subtle kind of covert passive aggressive abuse. Abuse, more than abuse, it becomes a neglect when you just don't deeply connect with anyone. Like you can, what is true neglect? True neglect is if I never communicate with anyone in the family and I'm only interested in my and my husband and my children's life, and that's it. I do not look at anyone beyond my family life, and even socializing, I am like not looking at anything. Then it becomes very neglectful life as a spouse, especially if you are a free woman who is just sitting at home and doing. I'm not saying that housework isn't painful, but just doing normal child caretaking when your children were 2 years old, no one is expecting you to socialize with the world. When your child is 1 year old, no one is expecting. When your child is infant, no one is expecting to do all these socializing things. Or when you are 2 years into marriage, at that time also expecting a woman to do all this is impossible task. But if you are in a 10-year marriage, 20-year marriage, and by then you haven't socialized enough with your family, enough to know what is going on in your realm of family's influence, what is going on with deeply at a deeper level with your uncles and aunts and grandparents, or even distant relatives. Or if you're not doing it with your relatives, you can't do it, you can't have a one-way conversation. Because with me, even though I want to keep in touch with certain relatives of my life, there are many relatives of my life who don't want to keep in touch with me. So I can't have a one-sided conversation with them. I have tried time and time again for over 10 years, and in the last 10 years I had the most free time to reconnect with them. So when I was in the 13 years in US, and in those 13 years, like a man, I was completely struggling with my finances, struggling with my legal situation, financial situation, professional situation. And while I was struggling with all of those responsibilities, like how men don't keep in touch and socialize with majority of their family when they are busy in their initial 10-20 years of their career, men start socializing when you will see, if what I have seen with the men in my life, they socialize when they have a relaxing job and they have time to socialize, or they socialize if they have a very busy social life and had a busy social life or professional life, where for 20-30 years of their professional life they were completely busy in their 20s to 50s and 60s. At that time they didn't socialize. Early 20s they might have socialized, then by 30s when they are raising children and busy in their professional life, in 30s and 40s those men don't socialize much except at the work setting and occasional random family setting. And then, but these men, if they are sociable men, if they are community building type of men, those men also will socialize in their 60s after retirement. And I have met those men. They're not part of my family, but these are the men who are retired men from high posts in India. They could have had high posts in a private organization or high posts in a government organization, but because they are the connectors of the world, communicators of the world, and the people who like to build the social connections in their life, these people and these men also, interestingly enough, had wives who were not the social connecting builders. So they had to also balance, because in a balanced family life someone has to take the role of socializing. It can either be both partners take role jointly 50-50 or 60-30, but depends on what dynamics you have settled into with your spouse. So if the man is a socializer, he will be doing the social connection building thing, he has to take up that role. Why? Because in those men's lives also the wives were doing some other role instead. One of the persons I remember right now, that person's wife was also functioning and working, and she was socializing and building networks, but she was building more of the professional network, she was building more of the financial network, she was building more of the financial nest egg for them after retirement. Whereas that man, because he was a more sociable personality, he has now after retirement build the, while the wife was building all the financial stuff, the man was building many of the social stuff related to connecting with friends and family and keeping in touch with friends and family after retirement and continuing the communication journey. So do you see, and this is a couple I'm talking about who are in their 60s and 70s right now, a couple who started all of these things, and their life trajectory, I have only dealt with them occasionally in my life. Every 5 years or 10 years I interact with this couple, but because I have the perception skill of understanding social roles and gender roles, and observing and comparing, meaning I contrast different roles to, because this is my purpose in life. Subtle purpose of my life is to observe social relationships, because social relationships build your health, overall health status as well. So overall health status gets also built because of social relationships, depending on what type of personality you are married to or what type of personality you are. If you want to have balanced health, one person has to socialize. In my family also the similar thing was there. My mother was not the social kind or like gossiping kind. She didn't like to chit chat and communicate with strangers, or even in family she was a very introvert type of personality. But in order to balance her, like, otherwise I would have had a completely abuse filled life if this balance was not there in my life. But in order to bring some balance, my dad was a social kind who is contributing to the social narrative and chit chat and community building. So all of these traits I now understood from my mother and father only, how to build relationships, how not to build relationships. And the not part came from the harm of what they haven't done or the harm of what they did do. From there I built that, and also from my experiences in US I have done that, because US is a place where you can't sustain or have a good career for a while, or even work in US related degree programs at the level at which I have worked with US degree programs, without having a right balanced attitude about communication. So I did have a very balanced attitude about communication when I was living there, and interacting with international people who don't even have any of my best interest at many people. I'm not saying none of them had my best interest at heart. The teachers appreciated me, and from the teachers only I got all the valuable insights. Whoever was a direct teacher or an indirect teacher, they all valued my presence in their life, as a result of which they not only valued my presence, I was valuing their presence in my life. So there was a mutual respect going on, which led to all the mutually beneficial things that our teacher student relationship, mentor mentee relationship led into our lives. It was all a brief experience, because none of these people stayed in my life for long term. Some are there in social media as friends or as LinkedIn connections, but the deeper connection hasn't been built, because I actually don't know how to be manipulatively connected to people. When I connect to people, I directly connect to people, and also I'm the kind of a live and let live kind of a personality. So for me, it is very uncomfortable for me to continuously just for the sake of connecting to someone, connect with someone. I connect with someone when I feel there is a need somewhere, that connection needs to happen for them or for me at those times, or if I'm helping someone else at that time, I will, in order to help someone else, I might reach out to someone that can you help this person, if I feel they have some resource that can help that person. So this is how I maintain my connections at a professional level. I could maintain more than that, but I'm not a very manipulative kind of a, or a very overtly sweet talking. I'm not a typical woman. So being a typical woman or a typically manipulative human being, I just don't know how to maintain that connection at that level. So that's why I allow in my life, what I have done is I've allowed for connections to come to me. Those connections which I felt if I push a little, a better connection can be formed. I've pushed the comfort zone boundary of those connections. But after pushing it, if I can see that they are not comfortable pushing that boundary or expanding the connection to a deeper level of a different kind, you can't force people to build connections with you that they don't want to build with you, right? So this is also a balanced communication strategy, knowing with whom you should expand a connection. That intuitive guidance only comes to me when I want to expand a connection with someone. But if they are not comfortable with expanding to that level, because some people get scared of people's intuition, so at that time, if I intuitively read someone's life and they are either not awakened to that thing happening in their life, or even if they are awakened, they are not comfortable discussing it with someone whom they have interacted with only one time or two times in their life, then what happens is, especially with introvert people, they do not want to expand further and build the development further. Now, which is their choice, but which is the sad thing, because a person like me has been has been given the intuitive guidance about some introvert's problem, because that introvert is not directly going to approach anyone for their problem. Most introverts I know, especially from my mother only, I understood this, and other people also. Mother is my main example, but it's not that my mother is the only introvert person I know. But many introvert people like my mother I have met throughout my life, repeatedly met people like my mother, where because they are introverts, they're never going to explain the deeper depth and expanse of their problems. But because I'm intuitive, I can pick up the deeper depth of someone's problems just by a person's non communication strategies, as well as their life patterns, as well as their even 1-2 sentences that they say about their life can give me enough insights about someone's deeper depths of what is going on in their life. This is just a skill, because who is going to solve an introvert's problem if an introvert doesn't speak their problem, or who is going to solve non-communicators? And I have both kinds of people in my life. So I grew up in a family where my father also, he talks about a lot of frivolous things, but the things that actually bother him, he doesn't talk about, which is a very bad skill, because you have to first be the advocate for yourself. My mother was, even though she spoke less, she advocated for herself in a very right manner. Wherever she needed to speak, she spoke. Wherever she needed to protest, she protested. where it was mandatory for her to speak and protest, she has done. She's just this quieter kind, that's why she protested once or twice and let it go. Because you can, after protesting, if you see it doesn't lead to any change, you can't do anything about it. Like with the municipality experience that I spoke here, if the municipality decided that I'm just being stupid or I'm just talking nonsense and didn't put credit to what I have discussed in that email or communication with them, at that time, if they ignored my concern, will the consequence of them ignoring that concern have had some repercussion in their life? Definitely, because then the population health in this city would have been worse than what it would have been, because they took proactive changes. The population health is at a slightly better status now than it would have been if they hadn't made the appropriate community based shifts and practice changes that supports community health in the right way, right? And I kind of universe is giving me a little bit of a pause here for some reason, I don't know why. Yeah, because likewise, when I told my building community that do not do these pesticide related false additions to our daily practices, they didn't listen to that because they didn't value my work and other politics was going on. But the consequence of it is everyone who's living in that area is now suffering, is going to suffer as a consequence of those pesticides used in that area. So when you make a change, if it is a change that is a needed change, and if it is a change that is a health supportive change, and if you don't ignore the person who is giving you that message, it ends up helping you. Whereas if you, and it doesn't matter if you're an introvert, if you had some work related challenges where no one was giving this information to you, or there is something in the future work that is going to develop that you don't know about, but because you made the right proactive change, because our government in this locality made this right proactive change right now in the same locality, and because it's festival time, this is something people need to be aware of. There's something going on in the background in India related to what I can't say this, or even if I know it, because I am an intuitive person, so I know many things that people in this area, top level executives of this area, will know more than I do, but I still have the right idea and insight about it. Executives in governance, executive in legal systems, as well as executive in executive functioning municipality related work, they all know more about this thing, but I still know about it simply because God gave me the insight about what is going wrong in this area. And one of the things that is going wrong, which is a practical thing that is going wrong, some because of inadvertent related issues and some because of sabotage related issues. And in the inadvertent accidental thing that is happening right now globally, how pesticides impact our health in a very direct and real manner, is that, for example, I have mentioned this about poor business practices. So one very poor business practice many retailers are trying to translate from past retail experiences, but is something that needs to be stopped right now and changed as well and redirected in the right way, which is related to mass scale bad products being there in the market. And it's there in the market globally, not just in India. And it is a practice which has started from US only. Many people who work in Indian higher level work, they are people like my friends who might have come from US and are executives of Indian companies, and who have moved to India because they want to take care of parents and other issues, or they're getting a good salary package and a good high level corporate position. That's why people are shifting from a foreign country. After having worked in foreign country for 20-30 years, you get valued also more by Indian systems. So because this is something my Indian friends have told me, when they were also seeking promotion, they didn't get promotion, but someone from a foreign country got promotion in their job. So at a time, whatever is going on, it's not that foreign education doesn't have value in India or foreign work experience doesn't have value in India. The problem is even Indian work experience and Indian work has value in foreign as well. Both have value. But problem is, and that's why only some of my friends in 40s, while there are some who came from US back to India, there are people of my generation who worked in India for 10-20 years and then migrated to outside India because they wanted the higher pay, higher salary and other things. But in both these exchanges that is now happening currently globally, and which is true of not just India, it's true of any other country of the world as well, where people are migrating. People from US also I know who have migrated to Europe, or people from Europe have migrated to US. All of this global exchange of professional career related changes as well as location related changes are needed in the world. Problem is, if you don't use the expertise and experience you've had living in another country in a right way, or you are only mistakenly using the logic driven data analytics related, because data analytics is being used greatly at a mass scale in many professions currently, but data analytics and also technology related changes are being brought about at a grand scale in many industries. Problem is, technology is not being effectively initiated and inculcated because a person who is making the tech changes has zero clue about the operational aspects of the technology, which I found as a experience, again because God wanted me to learn these experiences, and I am an expert of a kind that people will not appreciate. Just if they look at my resume, they will not get the details of my work, because firstly in my resume I can't put everything that I have done. I've done a lot of things that I can't put because it will make my resume a 10-page resume, and then no one will. And I tried it also, I made a 5-page resume and I've gone for job interviews where people have not even, they've only looked at the brief headlines, they've not looked at the details at all of my resume. So if I give more details of what I did in my past work, nothing gets read by anyone. People just don't have the time to read. They want only a 1 or 2-page resume. And if I put it in a 2-page resume, they will not get anything out of what I have learned in my all my life. Because the devil is in the details of the work I've done. Devil meaning, and here the devil meaning, I'm supposed to play a very devil's advocate type role in people's lives in any profession that I have studied, that I have worked at. The devil's advocate who is meant to be like a consultant type person, and that is the last job I held. I was a consultant person in a company that didn't value my consulting experience. They again relegated and minimized all my past experiences and considered me, because I was living in India, they thought they just completely ignored only my resume. One of my bosses, the other boss who hired me, she didn't ignore my resume. The other boss who gave me the work I was doing also didn't ignore my resume or the work output I was doing. The person who was the leader of the group completely ignored the fact. He just assumed just because I live in India, I have only Indian experience, which is not true. I had every experience related to the work he wanted to do in his company, but and in every kind of experience that he needs expertise on, I had the right expertise to provide to him. But he relegated me to a position where, all despite having all the expertise in his under his staff, if he only assumes that the staff who lives in US knows more than me, which was not true, because because it was a startup company, except for 2-3 really expert people, because life experiences have taught them some expertise, or because they have enough work experiences like me and much better work experiences than me. Except for 5-6 people in that company, majority of the people in the company were new hires with zero expertise in the field in which they have been hired. And despite that, just because they lived in US or America, or Europe, not America, just because they lived in America or in Europe, they got more prominence, or their words got more value than someone who's just living outside the country and is not living in a developed country, even though I had complete developed country related work experiences. And the developed country related work experiences, which is necessary for both a developed country to develop it into a better level, as well as a developing country to develop a developing country into a better level of evolution. Because right now in developing countries like India, the same poor things that have been done in US, if you translate it in India, it is going to have mass scale impact in India, because we are 5 times more, 4 times more populated cities are there in India than what is there in US. And sometimes even 10 times more populated cities are there in certain parts of India. Like if you look at Mumbai's population and the whole of US population, they are more closer in number. So you can imagine like what you will introduce in a city like Mumbai, if what you have introduced in Mumbai is not is a direct translation of some bad practice from entire US, or even a city, a couple of 5-10 cities of US related data is going to be translated into Mumbai, just because the number of population in those major cities plus is equal to Mumbai's population. You will have a very bad experience, which is what is happening and currently happening like in US, and about which I'll make a different video, because again it's a very complex operational topic that I want to discuss. But let's come back to the healthy practice, how does bad practices impact our own life in a very simple level. Some companies, what they are doing, they've translated a bad practice from US, where buy one get one free offers are given when certain products are not selling. And instead of doing the due diligence, in US it is still avoidable, because in US there were some poor population who needed some of the products, so they can if buy one get one free is done, those poor population benefits in some way. So that was the benefit when you give buy one get one free offer, buy one get one 50%, buy one get one 30%, buy three get one free. All these kind of offers are there in US also, and they're all were there in US, are and were there in US, which are getting translated in India. But now that's a bad practice of business, because while when low scale or only like 100,000 number of some product was being sold, or 10,000 quantity of some product was being sold, and in that 10,000 quantity 100 or 1,000 products didn't, 1% or something didn't get sold, and you have excess inventory because your machines overproduced. At that time, if you sell that product and overproduction was there, and you have sold it at a cheaper rate, it helps the person with a small budget to buy it from you. So there is a benefit to you doing a little excess production and selling it at a lower level. It helps the market, it helps your customer population. It can be a patient population also, when it is a medicine that is done this way, which is what my company had done. At that time it's beneficial. But where does the harm start happening? And the harm that has been developing over the last decade at the minimum, and more than a decade, but in the last decade I have observed that harm more deeply in US. Over a decade's time I have observed it in the tail end of my practice as a pharmacist in US, which was over a decade back, and then in the last decade in India I have observed the harm of it in India. Okay, so the harm is, if your product that didn't get sold is a product that didn't get sold because there was some defect in the product, and that is the reason why it didn't get sold, it's not because it was overproduced. But what has happened is, you've created a product which has some harm associated with it, a harm your quality control production related tests are not detecting in the product, because the quality control tests have been set up for measures related to decades back of manufacturing and retail operations and other setups. So many old fashioned setups were governing the quality control testing processes and steps. As a result, now your quality control testing doesn't identify when something is really harmful, for whatever reason. It could be multiple reasons why that harm didn't get detected, and I can go in detail and write a whole book also about these multiple reasons. But mainly, for a simple thing like pesticide contamination, what has happened, let's say I am buying a cosmetic from a company. I bought a cosmetic from a cosmetic company, and this is a very recent experience that happened this year itself with 2 companies for me. I told in my previous videos that because I was getting skin irritation, I had stopped using cosmetic products. But as a result of many, face washes, body washes, I'd stopped using it. I was only bathing myself in salt water, lemon water, Epsom salt, occasionally and rarely using some shampoos and face washes. But while I was doing that, there was a harm associated now for with not using cosmetics that also showed up. Like reducing use of cosmetics was the right choice because I used the reduction of cosmetic usages. I found out the water pollution based problems that were impacting my health. So for a few years, when I reduced completely my cosmetic and toiletry usages, I found out all the water pollution related challenges of this area that were impacting my health. Then, but when I'm not using soap to now cleanse my skin, some of the dead layers of my skin or other issues underneath the skin that is happening to me, that problem was not getting resolved. So that's why I started developing a little bit of pimples also in recent years. So which means I have to again get back to using cosmetics, but now I want to be wiser in using cosmetics. And 5 years back, when I was getting a lot of contamination problems from cosmetics, I didn't complain to those companies that I had problems with their cosmetics, which I should have done. But at that time, I was too much puzzled as to what is going wrong with my health. And there were other challenges going on with my life. There was also the pandemic happening at that time. So all of which meant that multiple other challenges were going on in my life. As a result, I didn't complain about cosmetic products, though each of the cosmetic products that I have tried in the last 5 to 10 years in India, about them, I have a whole list of commentary I can make even about cosmetic products, and maybe someday I will post a video about that. But at the simplest level, what has happened with the one recent cosmetic, I will actually talk about two cosmetics. One cosmetic, what has happened is, I bought in one of these buy one, like buy four and get some discount plan was given. So, and you have all these reward plans also. So some companies are doing reward plans, some companies are doing discount plans. So in those reward plans and discount plans, and multiple companies have had problems with their cosmetics. But I'm just going to talk something that happened recently, like in the last 1-2 months, this has transpired in my life. And in the last few months, 1, 2 or maximum 3 months, these problems have transpired. So one of them, it was an offer. I bought something in that offer, and previously what I bought one product last year or few months back, and that product was very beneficial for my skin, so I bought that product again. And along with that, I now wanted to test out some other cosmetics, and I also have good cosmetic knowledge. Firstly, because I have sensitive skin, that also gives me some good cosmetic knowledge based on my skin type and skin problems. Secondly, not just because of my sensitive skin, I have in our Bachelor's of Pharmaceutical Science course in India, we also have cosmetics as a part subject in pharmaceutics subject. So I have studied cosmetics, we have made cosmetics in our class, I have expertise about certain cosmetic industry related practical applications. The deeper cosmetic research that has happened in the last 25 years, I can't talk about. But the practical repercussions of what the cosmetic industry is doing, which practically impacts human health, related that I have good insight. And what has happened is, out of the few products that I brought from this company when buying from them a second time, one of the products has heavy pesticide smell in it. And that product, this cosmetic company, we get multiple cosmetics in multiple packages, and because cosmetics are available in multiple packages, product tampering sometimes can happen in those packages. So certain cosmetics can be very easily tampered with when that cosmetics is being delivered. The delivery guy can make some things, the manufacturing place, like if any nefarious intentioned person is working in any of the supply chain of a company, direct supply chain or indirect supply chain, because a delivery company is possibly an indirect supply chain of the company, right? But it's a stakeholder of the company, indirect supply stakeholder. But it is a supply chain of the company's product itself that is going to be impacted according to what they are doing with delivery companies or what is happening within a delivery company. So a delivery company, and this is a assumption I'm making, but let's say I got a cream like this where there is no seal in that cream. There's no kind of seal to, and even if some seal is there, it's a very simple seal, because if you have ever, this is not I don't know how you will classify this particular product, and this product also had some defects which I'll talk about in some other video. But it's not about this, but any cosmetic products, you will usually, if it's a cream, you will get a cream in a jar like this. Not exactly this, but you know, a plastic jar is usually used for plastic or glass jar with plastic lids or metal lids are used for cosmetic supply, right? And now this sometimes will have a seal here or a seal around the cap to ensure that this product doesn't get tampered with, right? But these are very easily workable tampering that can happen. Like anyone can, you know, the plastic that is around this, to sometimes, you know, make this tamper proof. That plastic can be very easily torn and if black market is going on for this product, someone can do some black market related tampering of this product. Okay, or even the seal that is present here, that seal being a paper seal or a aluminium foil seal for some of these products. This is true of both cosmetics as well as medicated products, as well as food products that are supplied in medical stores or in our food grocery chain. Any of these products can be tampered with very easily, and that kind of tampering is going on in India currently, partly because of black market, partly because of other reasons. Okay, so you can very easily tamper with some product like this. But there's another product that I bought recently, and I don't know where the bottle of that is. I will show the product also. I'm sorry to show it, I'll not show the name hopefully. But a product like this in a jar, where the bottle is a pump, and it's a pump which is the kind which, again, medicated products, cosmetic products can be sold in bottles like these. These are completely or more tamper proof than a product like this. Okay, so cosmetic industry sells both a product like this and much more tamper proof products that are in a foaming bottle, where the bottle will, if you push the bottle, the product will come out, and then you apply a little bit of a pea size content will come out. 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter of the product will be applied on your hand, which you will then apply, because it's a cosmetic, you're going to apply to your face, to your body, wherever that product or if it's a shampoo or something, you apply on your hair, right? And those products are more tamper proof because they have a particular kind of seal going on in the bottle. I didn't open the bottle because then the people will know what product it is. Even now people can know what product it is. It's not about that product itself that I'm complaining, because this is some problem many cosmetic companies are currently having, wherein this is the most tamper proof product I have used with the same problem. Other companies also had the same problem, which is this product, and I have complained to the customer service. I'm waiting for the customer service to get back to me. This product had pesticides in it. Because why? Now there's a very simple reason. The most simplest because reason is, if this most cosmetic products need water for making and making the product. Majority, very few rare cosmetic products are there where water is not needed to make the preparation. So majority cosmetic products need water to make the preparation. And what is the problem I have talked about? Water pollution in the past. A water pollution problem that I have talked in my posts in the past, but it's a very present earth problem in multiple industries related to water pollution. Every industry currently in the world, our earth, that's why has 70% water also in earth, because multiple functions related to our daily life needs water for that function, for cleaning activity, for producing activity, for eating activity, for digestion activities, for digestion of medicine related activity, for application of cosmetics and washing of cosmetics related activity, everywhere, for preparation of cosmetics, for preparation of food. Every possible industry in the world globally needs water. But each of the industries or each of our daily life's functions actually needs clean water, cleanest water, purest water possible. Unfortunately, despite all the filtration systems out there in the world, cleanest water can't be achieved if in our earth we are continuously pumping toxic chemicals like pesticides everywhere globally, because that pesticide doesn't disappear or break down into something else. Most such pesticides stay and remain everywhere on earth, in our water supply, in our earth supply, and even if enough earth contamination is there, it is got the capacity to even go into your plants. Many cosmetics, the very simplest kind of cosmetics, will have not only water as a mandatory ingredient or water and oil related ingredient. What is oil coming from? Oil is going to come from either mineral deposit mineral oil, or mineral oil forms will be used, or natural oil forms will be used. But if pesticide contamination is there in your plants or in your environment, that will impact any kind of oil based thing also that you're using in your cosmetic. So if my cosmetic has water and oil both, and in that water also there was contamination of pesticide, the oil also, whatever oil form, there are multiple oil forms also, be it a plastic based oil, coming from petroleum industry based, some artificial oil based fatty substance like cetyl alcohol, or there are so many cosmetic, I'm blanking out on the cosmetic name, people don't want me to go into the chemistry of it. Basic thing is, but let's look at a very simple thing. Beeswax can be one ingredient, paraffin oil can be another ingredient, even simple coconut oil can be one ingredient. And apart from these oils that I'm talking about, like some plant oil can be there, some beeswax related product can be there, some petroleum industries product can also be there. Everywhere, if pesticide contamination is high, that pesticide in your oil based ingredients or oil part of ingredients of your product can also have pesticide in it. The water itself can also have pesticide in it, and then other ingredients. This product doesn't have these ingredients, but there are many. There was some product with vitamin C I had purchased from another brand, whose bottle itself was not tamper proof. So here, because this bottle is majority tamper proof, the likelihood, and this is a very newly introduced company in the market, so the black market of this company also hasn't started existing so much right now. So because it's a new company, the black market of it also doesn't exist, the tamper proofness of the bottle is also very high. There's a high chance that the manufacturing facility itself or the manufacturing ingredients used in its facility has some contaminations, which is leading to the final product now having pesticides in it, which is harmful. If I apply pesticides regularly on my face, already if pesticide contaminated water or pesticides in the air or pesticides in the environment is making me sick, daily use of such a product or even weekly use of such a product will also add to my health harm, right? So the company needs to recall this product ideally. Whether they will do it, I don't know. What is the Indian government's oversight related things related to these things? Indian government also has to change a lot of laws and regulations to this product. Not just this product, but multiple products out there in the market right now. I detected the pesticide in it. I contacted them and complained about them. Many people may not have a strong sense of smell or other health challenges because of which they can detect this pesticide, but the pesticide content in it was so strong, I think anyone can smell this. This was not a very subtle pesticide smell. Whereas in another product, which was less tamper proof than this product, because it was supplied in a bottle like this, where all that bottle had was a seal in the top here, nothing else was there. So that can be more very easily tampered with in comparison to this product, much more easier to tamper that product. So there the company can decide that maybe someone else is doing it or whatever. But the reality is, majority of the cosmetic product related pesticide problem is not arising from tampering. It can arise from tampering or black market of those products, but people have to analyze what is going on with their product, especially if it is not a black market that is influencing their product and their product is not being sold. Like let's say in the last 1 year, 10% or 50% of their product of a particular kind didn't get sold. They need to analyze why is this product earlier when I launched this company, and of course you have to operations related thing I'll talk about maybe in the next video. But simplest thing for simple layman to understand is, if I don't even have a good sense of smell, but if something is irritating my skin or causing some harm to me, like a pimple growing on my skin or making my skin look duller than it should, because if it's a face wash like thing I'm using, it should make my face glow. But if the face wash has some contamination like a pesticide in it, instead of making my face glow, that face wash will actually make my face look dull, because it is impacting my overall organ damage is going on, and if something else is also internally going on, both of them in combination can lead to my face now, instead of glowing, look very dull and dark and cause skin harm on me. So because of which, that is one way I will decide this product is not working for me, even if I can't detect the pesticide in it. If it is a very subtle amount of some chemical that is there that is harmful to me, my body will naturally gravitate towards saying to me, if you are very observant, you will decide this product doesn't look good on me, I'm not going to use and buy this product. So that by itself will cut down your market of that product. Then the other market will be cut down by people like me who are directly observing what is exactly the problem in the product. And then there will be a third market who are completely unconscious. They are not very observant about what is happening to their skin. They are not even using the sense of smell to detect the pesticide. They are not doing any due diligence about the product. Maybe they were gifted a set by their daughter, and they use it and they are like, I don't know why my daughter is saying this is good, I don't find any benefit in it. That can happen to someone. What else can happen to someone is, you're too busy, like you're a busy working woman, you bought a product, you used it, and even if because you're busy, what is driving your choice now will be subconsciousness. Your subconscious will make you not choose the product. And if you're busy as well as very financially secure women, you're not even having, like I'm selectively buying products currently, and because of his skin health issues, I'm buying any product I buy, I use it, test it for a while. If that is not working, then I will go and buy something else. I'm not at the same time buying 3-4 different products. When I was working in US, or I was more financially secure, at those time points I would have 2-3 face washes, and 2, not 3. I was not very extravagant also, but sometimes occasionally I would have overlap of 2 different face washes, just because I went to the market, I'm very busy, so I know my bottle is running out, so that's why I bought another face wash. But there are also, I have very privileged friends also, and those people, they buy 2-3 different products. They are more financially secure, and their husbands or family also never complain about their usage, so they buy like 2-3 different face products at the same time. For face wash related use only, they might have 2-3 products. So in those people's cases, what will happen, if you bought 5 products and over the last 1 year maybe you bought 5 products, out of which you will, and you're not mindfully observing what is happening to your skin, because maybe you're a busy mother also, busy working wife also, whatever is the reason, even if you're not observing what is harmful to you, subtly your body will give you signals that this is harmful. And subconsciously what will happen is, if you have 5 products, only 1 or 2 which are really good for you, you will be using. The other 3 which are harmful for you, you will not use. And then after 1 year, when you decide that, okay, I bought this product, I never used it, and then maybe 1 year later you might observe there is some skin irritation happening or something, then you may not buy it. So some people will have a delayed response to buying your product. Like initially they might think this is a good product, but after 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, some people even after 10 year, if they are very extravagant users and very mindless people, some people will take that longer time, or not that observant, or they bought some cosmetics given to them by someone, but those cosmetics are just simply staying stashed somewhere in their home and they hardly use it. All of these people are the population set who will also not be using your product, but just because it's been sold doesn't mean that you have sold a beautiful or useful or less health harming product. Or just because you gave these offers, and because of the offer I could buy 3 products, and then out of the 3, the one which I like to use I keep for myself, the other 2 which I just bought because I was getting an offer, I could give to my family, without just give it away for someone. Or during offer times, many people during festival times do this, or people like me. When I used to live in US, my grandmother used to appreciate some cosmetic products. So what I used to do was, for that grandmother, I used to get her some cosmetic related products only from US, because at that time US quality of these products were good compared to Indian quality. So I used to buy something like that for my grandmother when she was alive. But or other family also, once I had bought in some offer like this only from a big retailer of cosmetics in US, and had bought a huge purchase, $200-300 worth purchase for my whole family, which was a discount, which had some $50 discount or something. So I got a good discounted price, gave cosmetics to my family as gifts. But while at that time those products were really good quality, or at least some of the products were good quality, even there, like I bought some lotions and I bought some scented products, and I found that with the lotion and what I gifted to others, I used also for myself. So I found that with the scented products, some of the scented products were giving me headaches. With the lotions were very good quality product. So at that point of time, and this is almost like 20 years back or 18 years back thing I'm talking about. At that time, while the buy offer season was happening, it was happening possibly because of Christmas time or some festival time offers were being given. So they were not giving you out, discounted products for, because it wasn't sold. The discount was happening because it's festival season, so they know that people will buy things for their family. So if they give a discount, people who are gifting things to family, they will buy from you because of the discount, and some more sales will happen as a result. Like if I don't get a discount, I may only buy for 5 family, whereas if I do get a discount, I might end up buying that same product for 10 more people, right? Because this is how the normal tendency of women are. So because of this reason, sometimes the discounted product was not bad quality. At that time it was not bad quality, but even then, in the discounted products, some were just Christmas product, promotional product, winter product, all of which got discounts. But some were things like scents and perfumes. Scents and perfumes women use very frequently. But even though women use very frequently, if your scented product is not being sold often and a lot of it is stacking up in your inventory, it means two things. You have an operational issue of overproduction. Second thing is, it's not just an operational issue, but your product quality could be really bad. Like the headache that I'm getting, I have a very sensitive, as I said, I'm very sensitive to many cosmetic and other products. So for me, it is very easy to detect. I get a headache, I will not buy it. I very rarely buy perfume products. Many perfume products I have bought used to just, how I said, for 10 years, 5 years, they have just stayed somewhere in the corner of my home. Like that, many cosmetic products used to just stay in my home, especially the scented ones. And many a times in recent years, I have stopped telling people to buy me scented products, or if they give me also some scented product, I have re-gifted it away simply because they give me so much headaches. Okay, so this thing that I have been observing problems with scented products for 30 years. Since my mother's days, the products that were available from then were problem zone for me. But over time only, as a girl, because we promoted so much of scented products, I never understood why the scents were causing health challenges. But by the time I understood it, I stopped using those products. And over time, in the last 10 to 15 years, the kind of scented things I use are also very curated and very carefully studied products that don't escalate my harm. According to that, I make my purchases, and anything that will benefit my health more than harm my health is the kind of product usage type I am leaning towards currently in life. So here is the practical application now. This is the conclusion part of my video, that if water pollution is going on, that water pollution impacts the product you are using also. It can impact a soap you are using, it can impact as balm you are using, it can impact the quality of even hand sanitizer you are using. Because if it's a scented hand sanitizer and it says it's a lemon scented hand sanitizer, the lemon is a natural part, but if the lemon has been grown in toxic conditions, along with the lemon scent, the toxic conditions of the lemon's environment could also end up being in your product. And which is the challenge right now in modern world of, we do need to gravitate towards the earth with more natural ingredients in our anything that we are consuming. be it a cleanser, be it a cosmetic or a toiletry, be it even natural fabrics, be it food. Everything needs to be actually natural. We need to go to a earth that takes us towards more natural consumption of natural resources of earth. Even in cosmetics, many mineral cosmetics are there, because minerals also play a active role in many cosmetic products. But when earth is polluted, when the earth soil is polluted, your minerals will be impacted. The same minerals which will also be there in your mineral based nutritional supplements as well. So if you have a polluted earth, your nutritional supplements will be polluted. If you have a polluted earth, your nutritional supplements that are plant based or animal based will also be polluted. Medications that also have, and all our medications, pharmaceutical industry medications, do use minerals from earth, do use these are all my pharmaceutical industry bachelor's related training. But many basic ingredients of our pharmaceutical products as well as cosmetic products need earth resources, natural earth resources. Majority of our ingredients are earth resources. Some of them are chemically manufactured things, but many are actual natural earth resources which are just chemically processed in a manufacturing facility towards purity. So these things, the purity of a product is getting impacted. Apart from purity of one ingredient in one product, if 10 ingredients are present in a product and all 10 ingredients are contaminated, your one simple product with 10 ingredients can also end up harming you, which is what is happening currently on earth in this century, where we have created and manufactured and are continuing to manufacture and are not doing the due diligence to understand that multiple products are contaminated in such a way that customers, after using the product, very few, the one who is absolutely harassed, absolutely looking for a solution where this harassment doesn't occur, this health harm doesn't occur, that is the customer who will complain. But a customer who is busy, the customer who doesn't have the time, the customer who is harassed but doesn't have the resources to complain, the customer who is got too many priorities in life to complain about it, they are not going to complain. So you will get complaint only from the top most 1% of the customers who have the time to complain and have the patience to complain and have the patience to continue complaining and have the patience as well as time as well as understanding of the deeper repercussions of this on human health, to give you a deeper insight also of why they are complaining. But if you ignore all those customers just because you had a more 15 minutes call or a more challenging email from them, all you're doing is you're setting up the stage for your business's failure in the future. When your business will fail will depend, and how your business will fail will depend on how bad the steps of people working in your profession are. Okay, like the worse employees you have, the worst kind of employee insights you have, the worst kind of if you don't have really mindful workers, careful workers, thoughtful workers, customer focused workers, customer oriented workers, as well as your products greatest good understanding workers, at each level where you have poor workers, that is the depth and level at which your company will eventually fail. How it fails completely depends on the whole company's infrastructure, the way it has been built up, the way it is sustaining itself, the false light which is taking it to think that just because I sold 100,000 products means I'm doing a profitable thing. It's not true anymore, because right now there are too many companies who are selling 100,000 worth of goods, but if they are all useless goods, toxic goods, poisonous goods, eventually all you've done is added to the earth harm. So many companies who want to do corporate social responsibility, also this is a practical way in which you can do corporate social responsibility. First, make socially responsible products that are truly useful, products that are not harmful, products that if harm is being detected, you have workers who are socially, you train your workers to be socially responsible enough to not create or manufacture or continue manufacturing toxic products. You train your employees to understand when a complaint is happening where real harm is evident in the conversation you are having with the customer, to escalate it to the supervisor. All of these things are missing right now in business practices in India, and not just business practices, every kind of practice has these things missing. And at home also many people do not understand this. Like if you are 10 people living in a home and one person says this product is harming me, other people ignore that harm of that one family member sometimes, which can also happen. Or if 3 family members are saying this is harmful, the other 7, if they are not getting harmed, they also end up ignoring. But right now we are at that level of earthly existence. Every little bit of things you ignore about your health or health harm, or things that escalate your health harm, every little bit that is ignored keeps on piling and piling in such a way that you end up with some major illnesses in those families where multiple levels of health harm are going on. And then there are other families where multiple levels of health harm may not be going on, where only one level or two level of health harm may be going on, but you still have to have the awareness about it, so that at a practical level you de-escalate the health harm. Now, what is the de-escalation of pesticide related health harm? Is it just the company has to now do all the due diligence, like if 10 ingredients are there, all ingredients have to be tested for pesticides? If 5 ingredients are there, all ingredients have to be tested? But it's not simply ingredients, there's much more things they have to do. I'm not going to go in the business and operational angle, but there's a lot of things people have to do to improve, even at the simplest level, one product that is harmful that they are creating. And like that, at a home life, you don't want pesticide pollution related problems in your home or in your city. What you have to do is, every single citizen of that city has to stop using pesticide, reduce using pesticide, redirect their pesticide usage into those kind of chemicals that are not health harming chemicals, but health beneficial, and still help in managing pestilence related problems in that area. That is the actual resolution to the pesticide pollution problem, from even a simple ingredient like a cosmetic, because pesticides can be in your cosmetics, it can be in your water supply, it can, after being in your water supply, not just impact your cosmetics, but if it is there in your water supply, if you're giving boost to your kid, or eating a nutritional supplement which completely the manufacturer has 0% pesticide in it, but if you have mixed it in a pesticide laced water, is your product going to have pesticide now that you are going to consume? So can you buy a powder product from the market, and if water pollution is going on in your city, will you get that water pollution based impact on your health? So even though I am thinking I am consuming boost, or I am consuming a nutritional supplement provided by my doctor for my cancer or my protein needs, or my gym trainer has given me a protein supplement that I want to take, I can take all of them. All of them can have the best manufacturer. If the businesses fix their business end things, and every business gives me a very good, clean, 100% pesticide free product, it still doesn't stop the direct impact of pesticide pollution in my daily life. In my daily life, it can only stop when all my neighborhood people, and if I only stop using pesticide, is it going to stop my problem? Yes, if I have a big land and around my home 1000 square meters is around, like, have you ever seen all those elite homes in foreign countries like Scotland or any other country, where someone had a lot of property in their past, and there's one home surrounded by thousands of acres of land. In that home, if everyone in that family, like if only 3 people live in that family, and everyone who works in that estate has never used any pesticide for a long time, and their whole entire water and land is clean, in that person's case and in that family's case, every one of those 3 people not using pesticide directly leads to a pesticide free, contamination free world for them. But if their whole, after the 1000 square meter area of that family's range, everyone else in that city or in that village uses pesticides everywhere, eventually some impact of the pesticide will happen to them also, because they can't be a completely, if only 3 members are there, they still need to buy fruits and vegetables from someone, clothes from someone, and everyone else, if they are using pesticides in their business profession to working professional life related any aspect, any microscopic amount of contamination from those pesticides will impact these people's health as well, even if they take the individual specific measure to not ever use pesticide in their life. Because for pesticide related problems, And likewise, not just pesticide, there are multiple other chemicals that are health harming in the world currently. For each of those usages, when collectively the whole city's population, the whole neighborhood's population, whole buildings population, whole families population collectively make the right choices and practices, that is when you collectively solve a great extent mass scale level problem, a problem that is meant to be solved at a mass scale level only. It's not a problem that is meant to be solved only at a microscopic level. So everyone has to wake up. Similarly, in the business also, if the pesticide is coming from one source or 10 sources, that vendor has to talk to 10 different people. If 10 ingredients are there, each of them have to be investigated for pesticide content, how much pesticide content it is there, and a lot of more research, development, quality control related work has to be done. And this is when downtimes are happening in a company, or if a company is seeing slow marketing of their products or slow selling of their products. These are all the work you have to do. Instead of thinking that my company is failing, your company will fail when you don't address these issues, when you continuously ignore these issues, don't hire the right personnel to address these issues, and then eventually, if mass scale no addressing of major problems are happening, which is how a family life also fails, which is how a business also fails, which is how a government also fails, which is how anything fails in life. When mass scale multiple people stakeholders needed to resolve an issue are unwilling, unable, incapable, not ready to address the problem in a way at which it needs to be resolved and addressed. So I hope this was beneficial and useful for you to learn. And this is how a pesticide simple. And in Gudi Padwa now, why am I mentioning Gudi Padwa and Ramzan? Is because like how it is there in cosmetics, these kind of chemicals are also there in your clothes, also there in your food. So when buying, be mindful about what you are purchasing. Last Holi season, after Holi, a company now, because certain products didn't get sold for Holi, they had purchased let's say 100,000 sweets, that they thought their target market will buy 100,000 sweets. Now, because their sweets had some contamination, as soon as someone bought those sweets, if they felt sick, or after eating those sweets their family felt sick, or after getting that sweet from someone, they tried it and they didn't like it, or subconsciously, like with cosmetics how it is happening, subconsciously some people may not realize something toxic was there, but they just don't eat it because they ate a little and they were like, okay, I don't want to eat further. The body stopped them from eating it. All of these happened, resulting in, even if they thought and they targeted based on past calculations that let's say 100,000 of that sweet will be sold, 100,000 didn't get sold, only half of it got sold. So then now that they had extra products, they decided to give it away as a free thing to the company without doing the actual due diligence. Because if drastic reduction in your sales has happened, or even 5% reduction, 5% looks like a small amount, but even 5% is a huge amount when your product is toxic. So and that product was, I bought 2 bags, and out of the 2 I got 2 as a gift from a retailer, and I ate some without realizing there was something poisonous in it. So I willy-nilly ate it, and immediately after 2 days, when I post my regular videos, after a day or two of consumption, my skin immediately started showing liver toxicity symptoms via yellowing of the skin of consuming a product that I didn't realize had something in it. There was still some sweets left over in that bag. So when I consumed it another 2 days later, because I didn't realize it might be coming from that sweet, so when I ate it, and the sweets ingredients, major ingredients in that sweet were all healthy food ingredients, which if the sweet had been prepared from good sources, pesticide free sources, the manufacturing facility was doing the right due diligence related to the manufacturing of the product, this problem wouldn't have been there, and they would have indeed possibly sold also 10,000 to 10,000 customers. But because they haven't done the right due diligence, the product not only didn't get sold, they didn't even do the right analysis to see why their product is not being sold, why they shouldn't be selling it further. If some people have also complained about the bad taste or something else in the product, they still didn't do the right due diligence, because they are thinking, why is my product going to be bad? I have made it using all these best quality ingredients. But maybe yes, if you have made it like a sweet with 5 ingredients, like let's say you've used nuts and coconut and ghee and sugar and wheat, all from good sources, you think you are using good material. But what if the person who is selling you the coconut has sold you bad coconut? Or if you have 10 vendors who are manufacturing it for you, out of those 10 places, one place has some facility related problem, or something else is going on. Whatever is going on, you have to investigate at a deeper level why a particular batch was spoiled, didn't get sold. Is it a particular batch that didn't get sold? Is it a particular area of sales where this problem has escalated? Because multiple reasons are going to be there for your product not getting sold. Because even if your product, if there are like, you know, two batches, one manufacturer made it into and I will possibly, this is extending it into 2 hours. So for manufacturing related tips and other resolutions that I can think of, because there's a whole operational aspect to this, I may make a different video. But understand, for normal common men as well, men, women, general people, population of any city or country, as well as for people working in any business or any profession they are currently working on, this pesticide related problem is very relevant everywhere right now. Not just pesticide, but pesticide is the first problem. Please address that, then only you will get to the next step of addressing of earth related challenges. If we don't understand pesticide problem, like this city has understood somewhat pesticide related problem, then they can go to the next problem zone and resolve it at the next level. And likewise, if other people from this city, thus just listening to my thing, decide we will reduce the pesticide usage in our city population, but only if the municipality does it, but the local population doesn't do it, then also it doesn't de-escalate the problem. And then if you don't introduce in the market the right changes, not just in the market, you just the pesticide pest control problem using pesticides is a chalta firta as well as short sighted way of doing pest control. Real deeper pest control has to be done in a very balanced and natural and earth safe, health safe manner and planetary life form safe manner, which will take a lot of time, because for at least 50 years or 40 years of my existence, I know bad practices or practices that seemed like good practices have been going on, but in reality they were health harming practices. So to shift 40 years of narrative about pesticides, the kind of changes that is needed on earth might need another 20 to 40 years or 10 to 20 years of changes. And slow de-escalation has to happen, because many people are used to consuming a lot of pesticide based products. So if they suddenly drop using of those products, then also some health harm is there, about which also I will possibly make a next video. There's a lot of videos that need to be made, a lot of education that needs to happen, and then after the education, slow step changes have to happen, and in the right way changes have to happen. Otherwise it will cause some other ancillary health challenges as well. So I hope this was meaningful and educational. Anyone wants to collaborate with me, connect with me on these topics, comment on anything that is bringing you some confusion or doubt, please drop a comment or connect with me via my social media pages that are there in my description section of this page. Thank you very much for listening and have a great day. And also always look at the description section of most of my posts, because in the description section, if I made some errors in the video or there's some additional clarification I feel I need to tell, those clarifications or other links to other videos are provided for you, so that you can go and look up other materials related to what I'm discussing here as well. And if doubts are there or I felt I need to clarify something, those are also presented in the description section of most of my videos. So have a great day and thank you for taking the time to watch this.